I'm Amy, and today I'm at the Art Box in Charlottesville, Virginia to talk about Color Mixing 101. There are a lot of pigment options to choose from, and whether you are a beginner or a professional, making color decisions for your paintings can be a challenge at times. For this color mixing demo, I wanted to share some recipe ideas that are an easy way to maximize the amount of colors you can mix while still keeping your color palette limited. To do this, I'm going to work with a warm and cool version of my primary colors. So what I have here is a quadrant of warm and cool colors in yellow, red, blue, and green. And what you'll notice is that some of the colors are a little bit more obvious in terms of their difference, and some are not as obvious to tell the difference between. So what I have here is some Hansa Yellow Medium, Hansa Yellow Light. The medium leans towards more of a red shade, and the light yellow has more of a cool bluish shade to it. So a little bit more lemony yellow on this side and a warm yellow on this side. For my reds, I have Naphthol Red Light and Quinacridone Magenta. Naphthol Red Light is more of what I would think of as a true red. It's a very bold, orangey, medium red. The Quinacridone Magenta is more of a pinky red, and while it's not called a red, it works really well as a red in terms of color mixing and how it can get some really great oranges and purples and also some neutral tones when you mix it with greens. Now for my blue, what I have is Phthalo Blue green shade and Phthalo Blue red shade. Now it's harder to tell the difference here, so what I did was I stretched the color out a little bit on both sides. When you move it into its undertone by mixing it with a little bit of water or diluting it with a medium, it's a little easier to tell, but definitely easier to tell the difference when you actually mix them with other colors. And for my greens, I have Phthalo Green yellow shade and Phthalo Green blue shade. The blue shade is a little darker, it's a little cooler. The yellow shade is much warmer and a little bit lighter in color here. So moving forward with the rest of my demo, I'm going to focus in on my primaries, my red, yellow, and blue, and show you the differences when you mix the warm and cool colors together to get your oranges, greens, and purples. I am mixing up 4 recipes for each color: green, orange, and purple. The mixtures combine either a warm and warm, warm and cool, or cool and cool color. I'm painting them onto color charts that I've divided into squares so that you can see the recipes side by side. Now that all of my colors are mixed, it's fun to look back and see the combinations that I can get from working between warm and cool. So again, on each of my quadrants, I had a warm and a cool version of a red and yellow, and then a red and blue and yellow and blue to make oranges, purples, and greens. So on this chart of oranges, you're going to see that there's a big difference with working between a warm red and a cool yellow and a warm red and a warm yellow. I get much more clarity in my orange when I'm working between warm and warm. And the same thing goes with my cool colors. So between cool red and cool yellow, I get a cooler, cleaner orange. But between a cool red and a warm yellow, I get more of an earthy looking orange. So even between these really bright modern pigments, you can get some combinations that look a lot like mineral pigment, which I think is really fascinating. Here with my greens, I'm going to see the same kind of variety working between warm and cool colors. And I love mixing greens. It's one of my favorite things to do for any kind of painting, really, but I've been doing a lot of landscapes recently, and it's really fun to see what you can get with your green combinations here. So again, warm yellow to warm blue, cool yellow to warm blue, and so on and so forth. You can really start to get a lot of variation with a limited palette of color. Now on to my purples. You're going to see again that there's a big difference when I work with a cool red versus a warm red. I have warm purples versus cool purples. And one thing that I haven't mentioned so far is the ratio of how much of each color to mix together. And there's something important to point out with color mixing, and that is each color has a tint strength, and it is the ability of one color to overpower another color. So in my previous recipes, and also with this one, I'm using a ratio of about 80% of one color to 20% of another color. So in this case, blue overpowers red quite easily. So I used 80% red to 20% blue. That way it keeps the mixture lighter and also kind of within the range that you think it should be. So you don't always get a purple from 50% blue to red, because the blue, the more you add into it, it can overpower the red here. So you'll see that even at 20% blue, these are still quite dark as purple. So if you noticed in my time-lapse video, I was scraping back a little bit of the color to reveal the undertone. So the undertone of these mixtures can sometimes look a lot different than the mass tone or the full strength of the mixture here. So, but you can still see, even in the full strength, that there's a big difference in the color. So these are browner and these are a little bit more purple. When you pair all of these recipes together, not only do you expand your color palette, but you can achieve some beautiful and harmonious color in your work. That's all for today. I hope you'll join me again for another First Friday demo.